Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hello friends, I am excited to share with you one more Excel file, this time on Vimshottari Dasa calculation. So I will give the downloadable link down below in the description. You can download the file after listening to this video on how to use it. Essentially, it's the same framework as before. We give under the database all the information that we are interested in of people's date of birth and all that. And then once you give a reference number, it will pull that specific reference number. Here I give a random number, but you can put your own number there to pull out your particular chart of interest. It brings out from that sheet, the database sheet, the date of birth, the time of birth and all that, the latitude, longitude that you have entered there, and it calculates the graha, dasha and all that, putting this chart both in the South Indian and the North Indian styles. So in Vimshottari Dasa, our main focus is only on Chandra, moon. The moon's degree at the time of birth matters the most. And when I see I'm using Krishnamurti Paddhati here, you can choose different Ainamsas, and you can also have a custom Ainamsa that you can basically plug in directly here and use the custom Ainamsa in this drop down. I have taken KP straight line. Instead you can pull your custom Ainamsa as well, and that brings in the Ainamsa that is either calculated or put in the Ainamsha sheet. So that's based upon that Ainamsha, this degree will be very sensitive to that number. So that is one thing. Another is, even with all this, when I check with Jagannatha Vora, I find slightly this Excel based upon the Swiss ephemeris DLL that I use, the 32-bit DLL, slightly gives the seconds a little different from Jagannatha Vora. It's the same degree minutes, the seconds would be slightly off. So that will affect the prana and deha calculations to some extent. But we do not know whether this is accurate or Jagannatha Vora is accurate. So both are based upon the same Swedish ephemeris DLL. So I don't know. Maybe the precision of the VBA calculations behind can be an approximation here. But you don't have to much worry on that. You don't have to go to the prana level and all that. Let me tell you how the Vimshottari part is calculated in the Excel. So once you click here, basically it pulls for this specific, basically it changes the random number and pulls any data here. So that is a person born in Mrigashira nakshatra. This time it has pulled that. So moon is in Mithuna Rasi, Mrigashira nakshatra, and we know the starting degree of Mrigashira. That is in fact pulled by I have given the starting degrees of each nakshatra here. So it is pulled from this table. So that is this number. And the ending degree is 13.33 degrees above this. So after this. So you are going to add to this the 360 by 27 degrees. So that is the ending degree of the star. But we don't... normally a birth takes place somewhere in between. It is neither at the end, very rarely exactly at the edge it will be, but normally the birth takes place somewhere in between the starting point of the nakshatra and the ending point of the nakshatra. So essentially we can get the degrees that is crossed in the birth nakshatra. In this case you are going to basically detect these two. So 12 degrees it has crossed here in this case, and the percentage, because the total is 13.33, of which it has crossed some 12 degrees. It has nearly crossed 91% here. And since it is Mrigashira, it is, Mrigashira goes to which of the, you can, if you do not know, you can go here. See, Mrigashira is the Martian Rasis, nakshatra. So it will start with the Mars Dasha, with 7 years allocated to it. So out of these 7 years, since it has already crossed some 91%, so remaining years only would be, so the percentage of the, so this is the Dasa days crossed. So after 7 years, you get the 91.4225% of 7 years and convert it into days. So that is this. It is getting that 7 from that lookup table, and then the remaining percentage it works out. And here I have used 365.24219 as the dasa, as the number of days per year. So you can modify that in case you want to use 360 or something like that. And I convert that into seconds. So sometimes people also want to know what is the percentage left. So it is 91 here. So remaining some 88.5% is left. And based upon the dasa balance, instead of the 7 years, this percentage is already crossed. So remaining balance in years is there. So dasa balance is also calculated here. So what is important to us now is the number of seconds crossed in the birth nakshatra that I would further use to calculate multiple things. So the birth takes place at this particular time which you have already given as an input. So I am using this color code for the dasa at the time of birth. So suppose we want to know exactly what is the dasha, bhkthi, antara, sukshma, prana, deha at the time of birth, you can calculate that. The way I do it is, I have the date of birth. So what I do is essentially go back to get another date. This is a new date based upon the birth date and the number of days in the past to get a pre-birth dasa start, which is like a person being in the womb of the mother when the Mars dasha for this person actually starts. So it is Mars dasha, Mars bhkthi, Mars antara, Mars sukshma, Mars prana, Mars deha. So it is everything Mars, 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 Mars. And where does this start? I calculate that based upon the number of degrees. See, basically it is dependent upon this nakshatra starting, right? So how many days in the back I have to go. So I calculate that you can. So this is the basically the date of birth from which I get, if you see the dasa days crossed birth nakshatra. So basically I will add that to get a pre-date. It is like, so I know exactly when Mars started. So this is the date when it started. So from then on, I know Mars started. Similarly, I can calculate when Rahu, the next dasha, when do they start. So these calculators are part and parcel of the calculation now. Essentially what it does is I have a sheet here where I have all the dasa, bhkthi, antara, sukshma, prana, deha, and when exactly each of that happens, if is Ketu, the cumulative degree is 0. After that, the prana has this many days, another prana is this many days, these many days, the cumulative addition is here. So I am using this table to get information here. So dasa at birth is calculated. So this would be the dasa at birth. And sometimes any date, not at birth date. Suppose I am calculating now. Now is exactly this time. What is the dasha, bhkthi, antara? So that is also calculated. You can follow the calculations here, how it is done. And sometimes people ask you, I want to get the date when a particular dasha, bhkthi, antara, sukshma, prana that I provide. So you can pull here. Suppose I want Mars dasha and I want some bhkthi in Mars dasha, something that you are interested in when that happens. That is also calculated here. So in essence, this would be a useful tool. Maybe try it out with multiple people. Check if there are some bugs, because it's prone to some bugs perhaps. So as I want you, if you have to compare it with Jagannatha Vara, you essentially have to have the same degree for the moon. This degree for the moon is what is used here. I called it as MO itself here. Instead of MO, if you put exactly the degree the Jagannatha Vara outputs, then you should be getting all these exactly as Jagannatha Vara. Only thing is, to get the degree, the same Ainamsa would be required, same input should be required. So all that are required. So there is a slight difference, as I said, in seconds based upon some of the calculators. So you can verify it with other softwares. I used the advanced stellar astrology software that I have. So this is this gives me the Dasa, Bhakti, Antara, Sukshma would be under this. I have verified this. There is at most maybe 1 day difference sometimes, and sometimes it's exactly coinciding. But this is trying only till Sukshma. We have till prana and deha. In fact, one of my friend wanted this. So he in fact wanted even for other dasha systems like yogini and all that. Once this is, now that this is made, I think we can easily march forward to other systems as well. So kindly use it and tell me how it works in the comment section below. And in case there are bugs, we will correct that, and maybe then again I will repost the link. All the very best. Thank you.